Adrian Stone adjusted his titanium Patek Philippe watch, a subtle reminder of his ascent from East Harbor's working-class streets to the pinnacle of Newport's financial elite. The timepiece had cost more than his father's annual salary as a dock worker, yet to Adrian it represented more than wealth. It was a testament to his unyielding determination. His office intercom crackled with the voice of his secretary. "Miss Stone is online. She's asking about tonight's dinner." Without hesitation, Adrian pressed the button. "Put her through," he ordered, maintaining his focus on the multiple monitors displaying market trends while reaching for the phone. "Adrian, darling," came the polished yet familiar voice of Veronica. "I just wanted to confirm you'll be at Veritas by 7. You know how Papa gets when we're late." "Since when have I ever been late, Veronica?" His tone remained neutral, masking the growing suspicion that had plagued him for weeks. "I'll be there." "Perfect. And don't forget the navy Brioni suit. Mother mentioned that the Kingsleys might stop by our table, and you know how appearances matter." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Of course they do," he muttered, ending the call and turning to face the wall of glass that showcased his domain. The Newport financial district stretched out before him like a chessboard, and he was its grandmaster. His phone buzzed with a notification. The iPad sync had worked perfectly, just as his IT team had promised. Veronica's message populated his screen, alongside texts she thought were deleted. "Miss you already. Last night was incredible. When can I see you again? These dinners with him are torture. 2 more months. Baby, just 2 more months." Adrian's fingers drummed against his mahogany desk, a habit from his youth when he'd count the hours until his construction shift ended. He pulled up another window. The private investigator's preliminary report on Oliver Grant, Yale Law, 3rd-generation wealth, on the partner track at his father's firm, the perfect match for Veronica's carefully curated image. "Marcus," he called to his head of security through the intercom, "get me everything on Grant and Associates' client portfolio. Specifically, any accounts managed by Stone Capital." "Right away, sir." Then Celeste Blackwood entered his office with the confident stride of someone who'd spent years in federal law enforcement before turning to the private sector. Carrying a leather briefcase containing weeks of surveillance on Veronica, Howard Kingsley, Eleanor Kingsley, and Oliver Grant, she announced briskly, "You've seen the texts, without any pleasantries. Show me what else you have." Celeste laid out photographs across his desk, images of Veronica and Oliver at the Four Seasons, at hidden restaurants in Aurora, sneaking kisses in parking garages. But it was the photos of Veronica with her parents that caught his attention. Howard and Eleanor Kingsley huddled with their daughter over lunch, passing documents and plotting. "They're planning something big," Celeste explained. "In exactly 63 days. They've been planning this for months. Howard Kingsley has been quietly liquidating assets, moving money offshore. They're preparing for war." Adrian picked up a photo of Veronica laughing with Oliver. "They have no idea what war really is," he murmured, then turned to Celeste. "What did you find on Howard's past? The Kingsley shipping empire is just a facade. Howard inherited a fortune and squandered it on bad investments, and even worse habits. They've been social climbing through strategic marriages for years. Veronica's sister once married a man who was bankrupted in a shockingly similar scenario 3 years ago. And Oliver? A trust fund baby with a gambling problem. Papa cut him off 2 years ago. He's been misappropriating client funds to maintain his image, with Veronica helping him cover it up." Adrian stood, straightening his bespoke suit. "Prepare everything. When they make their move tonight, I want to be ready to destroy them so completely they'll never recover." The rest of the afternoon blurred into a haze of meetings and market calls. Adrian maintained his usual sharp focus, giving no indication that he was orchestrating the systematic dismantling of his wife's entire world. At precisely 6:45 p.m., his town car pulled up to Veritas. The maitre d' greeted him with practiced deference. "Good evening, Mr. Stone. Your party is already seated." Veronica's smile was radiant as she approached the table, But now Adrian saw the calculation behind it. The way she adjusted her pearls, his anniversary gift, felt like another betrayal. "Adrian, darling," she said, rising to kiss his cheek. The scent of her Chanel perfume couldn't mask the slight tremor in her voice. "Papa's ordered the most wonderful wine." Howard Kingsley sat regally, holding court with his silver hair and perfectly tailored suit that projected old money confidence. "Ah, Adrian," he said with a smile. "I took the liberty of ordering the 82 Veritas Rothschild, special occasion and all." Eleanor Kingsley's practiced, social media-ready smile was fixed in place as her eyes darted between her daughter and the restaurant's entrance. The $5,000 bottle of wine arrived with appropriate ceremony. During the toast, Howard raised his glass. "To family." Veronica's hand shook slightly as she lifted her wine, the pearls at her throat catching the light. A $50,000 strand he had given her on their first anniversary. Everything about her was expensive, curated, and, in his mind, fake. The appetizers arrived. Caviar, Wagyu tartare, dishes costing more than what Adrian used to earn in a week of construction work. Howard continued ordering, each dish more extravagant than the last. Veronica excused herself to the bathroom for the third time, clutching her phone. Adrian watched her go, remembering the text messages he had seen. "Mom, I can't keep living this lie. Oliver makes me feel alive. Something I never could." Eleanor attempted small talk. "The Hendersons were asking about your new property development in the Seaport District. Such an exciting project." Indeed, Adrian sipped his water, watching Veronica return. Her face was set with determination, the same expression she wore in court before delivering a killing blow. "Adrian," she said sharply, "we need to talk." And there it was, the moment they had been building toward all evening. Adrian sat down, took a napkin, pulled out his phone, and prepared to show them what real power looked like. "Actually, Veronica," he said quietly, "I believe we do." Veronica had rehearsed this moment countless times in her mind, practicing her speech in front of her bathroom mirror until each word felt natural and inevitable. The law, the Veritas Rothschild in her glass, a line that cost more than her first car, provided liquid courage as she prepared to detonate her marriage. Her voice steady despite her racing heart, she began, "I've been doing a lot of thinking about us, about our future." Glancing at her mother, who offered an almost imperceptible nod, she continued, "We've grown apart. We're different people now than when we married." Adrian sat motionless, his expression unreadable. The same poker face that had served him well in billion-dollar negotiations now concealing his inner thoughts as his wife of 5 years dismantled their marriage. "The passion, the connection we once had, it's gone. I think we both know this isn't working anymore." Veronica's fingers twisted the napkin in her lap, the only outward sign of her nervousness. "I want a divorce." The silence that followed stretched for several heartbeats. Howard Kingsley reached for the wine bottle, ready to refill glasses for what he assumed would be a long, messy conversation. Eleanor's practiced smile remained fixed, though her eyes betrayed the anticipation of impending drama. Instead, Adrian calmly pulled out his phone and pressed a single number on his speed dial. "Ms. Blackwood, execute Protocol Alpha." Veronica's phone buzzed immediately. She reached for it, expecting a message from Oliver. Instead, she stared at the notification in disbelief. Cards declined. Account access restricted. "What did you do?" The carefully crafted calm in her voice cracked. Before Adrian could answer, Howard's phone chimed. His face reddened as he read the message. "This is outrageous. How dare you interfere with my club membership?" Eleanor gasped moments later as she checked her own phone. "Howard, the foundation. Someone leaked. They know about the Benson account." Her voice rose in panic. "They're calling an emergency board meeting." "Oh, I'm just getting started," Adrian replied, his voice conversational, as if discussing the weather. He turned to Veronica. "Your lover, Oliver Grant. He's about to learn that his managing partnership promotion next month has been canceled. Funny how many of his firm's clients have their portfolios managed by my company. Veronica's face drained of color. How did you know? Adrian's smile turned glacial. Technology can be so temperamental, darling. The iPad sync malfunctioned unexpectedly, and text messages restored themselves, almost as if the universe wanted me to see your conversations with J.M. about your passionate meetings in Aurora. Howard surged to his feet, his face purple with rage. He grabbed Adrian's suit jacket, attempting to hurl it at him. You working-class thug. You think you can threaten us? Howard, darling. Eleanor, Adrian said coolly, people are staring. At that moment, the maitre d' approached their table with concern etched on his features. Mr. Stone, is everything all right? Perfect timing, Adrian said with a hint of mockery as he straightened his tie with deliberate precision. These three will be handling the bill tonight. I'm sure Howard's American Express black card still works. He paused, checking his phone. Well, for the next few minutes at least, you can't do this. Veronica's voice now shook with genuine fear. The prenuptial agreement. The prenuptial agreement. Adrian laughed, a sound devoid of humor. You really think this is about money? Your father's been running his mouth about my East Harbor roots for 5 years. Time to show you what a kid from Dockside can really do when he's crossed. Eleanor frantically waved her platinum card at Antoine. This one must work. I just used it this morning. Antoine apologized. I'm afraid it's being declined. Madame. Try mine, Howard demanded, pulling out his wallet. Card after card met the same fate. Adrian headed for the door, then paused. Veronica, tell Oliver to check his client accounts carefully. The Bar Association is very interested in creative accounting these days. He turned to his in-laws with a cold smile. Howard, Eleanor, I hear Midland is lovely this time of year. I'm sure your distant cousins there would love to catch up. You're bluffing, Howard sputtered. You can't possibly have that kind of influence. Really? Adrian raised an eyebrow. Eleanor, why don't you check your email? The one about the Benson account was sent to the entire foundation board. I believe they're particularly interested in the part about insider trading dating back to 1992. Eleanor's phone slipped from her trembling fingers, clattering against fine china. You've just killed your own career. Veronica called after him, desperation sharpening her voice. No one will trust Stone Capital after this. Adrian turned back one final time, his expression almost pitying. Trust, coming from the woman who's been helping her lover and benefactor cover his tracks. That's rich, Veronica, almost as rich as you used to be. He nodded to Antoine. The 82 Veritas Rothschild was excellent, by the way. Send the bill to Mr. Kingsley. I'm sure he can sell another painting to cover it. The last thing Adrian heard as he walked out was Eleanor's shrill cry. Howard, do something. All our cards are declining. Outside, Celeste Blackwood waited by his car. Phase 1 is complete, she announced. Grant's firm just received an anonymous tip about his creative accounting. The Bar Association has been notified. Good, Adrian murmured, straightening his cuffs. Now show me what else you found on the Kingsley family's past marriages. I want to know every scheme, every calculated maneuver they engineered. You're going to destroy them completely, aren't you? His smile was that of a predator. No, Celeste. Destruction implies chaos. What I'm going to do is much worse. I'm going to dismantle their world with the same precision they used to plan my humiliation. By the time I'm done, the name Kingsley will be toxic in Newport society. His phone buzzed with a message from Oliver Grant, full of bluster and threats. Adrian forwarded it to his legal team with 2 chilling words. Begin now. The town car pulled away from Veritas, leaving behind the wreckage of Veronica's carefully planned drama. In the back seat, Adrian finally allowed himself a sip of water, while his mind already mapped out the next phase of his retaliation. Later, in the towering glass office of Stone Capital, the Newport skyline glittered through massive windows, a view earned through years of calculated risks and ruthless determination. The space functioned as his war room now, with Celeste Blackwood methodically laying out evidence across his conference table. The affair began 9 months ago, Celeste reported, sliding surveillance photos across the polished surface. The images showed Veronica and Oliver entering various hotels, sharing intimate moments they thought were private. But the Kingsley scheme had been in motion long before that. Adrian studied one particular photo, Veronica and Oliver at an Aurora hotel, her head thrown back in laughter. The timestamp showed it was taken the day after their 5th anniversary. "Show me everything on the Kingsley family history," he commanded. Celeste pulled up files on 3 tablets. Howard Kingsley inherited the Kingsley Shipping Company from his father in 1985. Within a decade, he ran it into the ground through mismanagement and extravagant tastes. Since then, they've survived through a combination of strategic marriages and social manipulation. She then displayed another set of photos, Howard and Eleanor Kingsley with their previous son-in-law, Thomas Kane. At Veritas 3 years before Veronica met you, Kane was married to Veronica's sister. A similar pattern emerged. They waited for the prenuptial agreement to expire, engineered a divorce, and then Kane mysteriously lost everything in a market crash. And Veronica's current husband, originally known as Mark Davidson, must be replaced. His family's tech company is going public next year. The Kingsleys are already positioning for a similar takedown once the IPO makes him a billionaire. Adrian absorbed the information, his mind calculating angles and vulnerabilities. And Grant, a trust fund kid playing lawyer. His father cut him off 2 years ago because of mounting gambling debts. He's been misappropriating client funds to maintain his facade, with Veronica helping him hide it. He pulled up his laptop. Time to apply pressure. How much does Grant owe his bookies? About $3 million, spread across 5 operations, Celeste replied. Every one of them. Let him feel the tightening grip. Adrian's fingers flew across the keyboard. Now leak proof of his embezzlement to every partner at his firm except his father. Let them stew on that overnight. Celeste regarded him with professional admiration. You've been preparing for something like this all along, haven't you? I grew up in Dockside. I learned to spot predators early. Adrian gestured to the files. The Kingsleys and Grant. They're just expensive versions of the same sharks I grew up avoiding. The only difference is they hide behind table manners and trust funds. His phone buzzed again, alerting him that Veronica was attempting to access their joint accounts. Each denial notification gave him a small measure of satisfaction. "Sir," his head of security announced, "we've located the Kingsley offshore accounts. 5 shell companies, 3 jurisdictions, each routing money through our Singapore office before dissolving it into charitable trusts. And we made sure the paper trail leads back to Howard's old insider trading schemes." Celeste whistled softly. "That's ruthless, even for you." Adrian typed out a series of commands. Time to show them what that really means. And remember, in Dockside, you don't just beat your enemies. You make sure they never recover. His office phone lit up with a call from Howard Kingsley, demanding, "What's our timeline looking like?" Adrian asked Celeste, "When will Grant's firm discover the embezzlement evidence?" "Mistakenly, they'll learn by morning." Meanwhile, the Kingsleys' social circle is buzzing about Eleanor's insider trading scandal, and Veronica's law firm received an anonymous tip about her involvement in Grant's schemes just an hour ago. The offshore accounts are being drained as we speak. By morning, the Kingsleys will be running on fumes. Adrian nodded, pulling up another screen. Now for the finishing touch. Send these documents to every country club board member in New England. He displayed files showing Howard Kingsley's creative accounting over the years. Let's see how they handle becoming social pariahs. His phone buzzed once more. A text from Veronica. "Please, we need to talk. This isn't what you think." Before he could respond, Celeste reported, "Mr. Stone, the managing partners are calling an emergency board meeting. Mrs. Kingsley is trying to do damage control." "Should we release the rest of the evidence?" "Not yet," Adrian replied coolly. "Let them squirm tonight. Tomorrow, we start dismantling their foundation brick by brick." Adrian checked his watch. It had barely been 4 hours since dinner. "How's Grant holding up?" he asked. Celeste pulled up a surveillance feed. Oliver sits in his office, surrounded by evidence of his crimes, desperately calling in favors that no longer exist. He's cracking, the loan sharks are circling, and his father's firm is about to discover exactly what he's been doing with client funds. By morning, he'll be radioactive in the legal community. Adrian nodded, satisfied. And Veronica is running out of options. Her credit cards are dead, her accounts frozen, her reputation in tatters. The only place left to turn is the one we anticipated. The night deepened as Adrian and his team continued their work, systematically destroying the foundations of privilege and power the Kingsleys had built their lives upon. Each move was calculated, each strike precise. This was the culmination of a plan born the moment he discovered their betrayal. "You know they'll try to fight back," Celeste warned as she prepared to leave. "Let them try." Adrian's expression hardened. "They thought I was just another social climber they could discard. Instead, they handed me everything I needed to destroy them completely." He dismissed his team for the night, remaining alone in his expansive office. Financial records, surveillance photos, and social media feeds showing the first tremors of the earthquake he had initiated surrounded him. Tomorrow, Newport's elite would awaken to find the Kingsley family's carefully constructed facade in ruins. Veronica would discover that her betrayal had cost her everything: career, reputation, future, and Oliver would learn the price of stealing from Adrian Stone's world. But tonight, as he sat in his office with the city lights below reminding him of his journey from dockside to the pinnacle of power, Adrian allowed himself a brief moment of satisfaction. He had fought for everything he had, earned every dollar, every connection, every ounce of respect. And now the Kingsleys had tried to take it all away. Instead, they had awakened something they did not understand: the ruthless determination that had lifted him from poverty, the cold calculation that had made him a financial titan. His phone buzzed one final time. A message from Veronica. He ignored it, focusing instead on the documents that would complete their destruction. The war had already been won. They simply did not know it yet. In the hours that followed, inside the towering glass confines of Stone Capital's headquarters, the war continued. Veronica, now Veronica Stone, had taken refuge in her new office at Grant & Associates, scanning Newport's business section with growing satisfaction. The headline glared at her: "Stone Capital under SEC investigation." For a fleeting moment, she allowed herself a small triumph, a glimmer of hope that she might regain control of this war. Her new office, though not the corner suite she had enjoyed at her previous firm, served as a sanctuary after Adrian's ruthless display at Veritas. The mahogany desk, a relic of the firm's history, now stung more than her own wealth. Oliver Grant strode in, his Italian loafers silent on the carpeted floor. He loosened his Hermes tie, a habit that once charmed her, but now hinted at the pressure they both felt. "Have you seen the market's reaction? Stone Capital's clients are getting nervous," he remarked. "Good." Veronica set down her coffee. It's about time Adrian learned he's not untouchable. The anonymous tip to the SEC had been brilliant. Oliver perched on her desk, confidence masking desperation in his eyes. "Your ex-husband isn't the only one who knows how to play hardball." Veronica's phone buzzed, a notification of another block transaction. She had been forced to use the firm's credit card for even basic expenses, a humiliation that fueled her resolve. "We need this to work," she insisted. Oliver reassured her. "The SEC investigation will force him to back off once his clients start pulling their funds." Suddenly, the office door burst open. Timothy, their junior associate clutching his tablet, rushed in. "Turn on CNBC." Veronica grabbed the remote, switching on the wall-mounted screen. Her blood ran cold as she watched Adrian Stone, impeccably dressed in a charcoal Brioni suit, step out of Stone Capital's headquarters, accompanied by a team of SEC investigators. A lead investigator announced confidently, "The allegations against Stone Capital have been thoroughly reviewed. We found no evidence of market manipulation or irregular trading patterns. In fact, Mr. Stone's documentation and transparency have been exemplary." The camera zoomed in on Adrian's face. He wasn't just composed, he was amused. Stone Capital has always maintained the highest standards of compliance, he addressed the reporters. Though I must thank whoever sent the tip. It's given us a chance to demonstrate exactly how clean our operations are. Oliver's face drained of color as Adrian continued. Interestingly, our tech team traced the anonymous tip to an IP address registered to an individual at Grant & Associates. We've provided those details to the SEC for their investigation into potential market manipulation through false allegations. Veronica's phone rang. Her managing partners demanded to see her and Oliver immediately. Before they could move, both their phones exploded with news alerts. Oliver whispered, "No, this isn't possible." Leaning over, Veronica saw federal agents entering Oliver's apartment building, and another alert showed his offshore accounts frozen pending investigation into client fund misappropriation. He's not attacking Stone Capital. Veronica realized in horror. He's been 10 steps ahead this whole time. A final text from an unknown number read, "Your boyfriend's got problems. Shame about those client accounts he drained. Wonder how many of his colleagues knew you were helping him cook the books." Oliver's phone exploded with messages from loan sharks demanding immediate repayment, and soon the carefully constructed house of cards began collapsing in real time. "What do we do?" Oliver's voice cracked. Before Veronica could answer, Timothy rushed back in. "The managing partners want everyone in the conference room. They've received documents about the client accounts." Veronica watched as Oliver's face crumpled. In that moment, she understood the true scale of what they had awakened. "This isn't just revenge," she whispered. "This is total warfare. He's not going to stop." Oliver, throwing money on the table, rushed toward the door. Pausing, he looked back at Veronica, the woman he had risked everything for, now sitting alone in a modest cafe, broken by the same ambition that had drawn them together. "I'll call you," he promised, though he knew the chances were slim. Outside, his driver was nowhere to be seen, another luxury stripped away. As he hailed a cab, he rehearsed explanations for the partners, excuses for missing funds, lies to cover even more lies. But as the cab navigated through Newport traffic, Oliver finally understood what Adrian Stone had known all along. Her game of social climbing and manipulation had been amateur compared to the destruction a truly ruthless man could unleash. His phone rang one final time. A message from Adrian himself. "Check the news, Oliver. Your father just learned about the offshore accounts." In a series of high-resolution surveillance photos spread across Celeste's tablet, the story of Oliver Grant's downfall unfolded with clinical precision. The first image captured him entering his father's firm that morning, still clutching his briefcase like a shield. The next showed him being escorted out by security, his briefcase now in the hands of federal agents. From her vantage point across the street, Veronica watched the scene unfold, her hands gripping the steering wheel of her rented Honda, a far cry from her usual Mercedes. As Oliver was led to a waiting federal vehicle, a reporter's voice crackled through her earpiece. "Target is in custody. Phase 2 has begun." In his command center, Adrian reviewed the footage with clinical detachment, his monitors displaying the culmination of his revenge. "Status report," he commanded sharply. Celeste pulled up multiple files on the main screen. Howard Kingsley checked himself into Bellevue Mental Health Facility this morning. Eleanor is putting their last property, the summer house in Evergreen, up for sale, and Veronica's sister has filed for divorce from her current husband, whose family's tech company is about to go public. Adrian's expression remained unchanged. "And the baby?" he inquired. Celeste paused, studying him carefully. "It's yours, not Oliver's," she confirmed. The news hit him with unexpected force. His hand stilled over his keyboard as memories of Veronica, of their first date, their wedding, surfaced unbidden. "Should we adjust the plan?" Celeste prompted. "No," Adrian replied with steely determination. "Implement the final phase. It's time to end this." The pieces were already in motion. Oliver, desperate and cornered, had taken the bait Adrian had dangled, a scheme to steal what he believed was hidden stone capital money. Instead, he had walked straight into an FBI sting operation. "Watch the news," Adrian instructed as he turned to another monitor. The story broke across all major networks. Oliver Grant has been arrested for embezzlement and fraud. Veronica stood in her temporary apartment, watching her lover being led away in handcuffs, finally understanding the full scope of Adrian's revenge. Her phone rang with yet another law firm declining to represent her in the divorce proceedings. Her credit cards were dead, her accounts frozen, her professional reputation in tatters. The very social circles that had once embraced her now treated her like a pariah. In the command center, Celeste observed multiple feeds showing their targets disintegrating. The Kingsleys were broken. Oliver faced decades behind bars, and Veronica was running out of options. "She has one option left," Adrian stated, checking his watch. "In 3 to 2-1, the security desk will call up. Veronica Kingsley Stone has just entered the building. Let her through." Adrian's voice was ice-cold as he issued the order. It's time she understood exactly what she tried to destroy. The elevator carried Veronica to the penthouse level where she had once belonged. With every passing floor, her descent was marked, transitioning from privileged wife to social outcast. By the time she reached Adrian's office, her carefully maintained composure had shattered. The security guard stepped aside, allowing her to approach the double doors she had walked through countless times before. Inside, Adrian waited, ready to deliver the final stroke in his campaign of destruction. "Send up the papers, all of them," he instructed Celeste. The sun had set over Newport, but Adrian Stone's day of reckoning was far from over. In his office, he prepared to confront the woman who had once thought she could use him as a stepping stone, the woman carrying his child, the woman who had learned that betraying Adrian Stone came with consequences echoing through generations. "I know about the baby," he stated without turning from his window, where the Newport skyline spread before him. A kingdom he had built from nothing and defended with ruthless determination. Veronica's sharp intake of breath confirmed what his surveillance had already told him. She hadn't expected him to know. Her reflection in the glass revealed a woman stripped of the pretense of social armor, the carefully maintained facade of her marriage now in ruins. "How long have you known?" she asked, her voice trembling. "About everything." "Long enough," he replied, finally turning to face her directly. His tailored suit and commanding presence contrasted starkly with her diminished appearance. "Your parents are broke. Oliver is facing 20 years. Your sisters are starting over. And the society you were so desperate to climb. Everyone is now aligned with me. What do you want?" Veronica whispered, her voice laden with defeat. "Nothing. Not anymore," Adrian said as he retrieved a thick folder from his desk. "Inside you'll find divorce papers, a modest settlement, and documents for a trust fund for our child. Enough to live comfortably, but not enough to ever play social games again. There's also a one-way ticket to Evergreen and a lease on a small house there." Veronica stared at the folder, her face a mask of disbelief. "You're letting me go?" "No, Veronica," he replied coldly. "I'm setting myself free. The trust fund comes with conditions. Our child will know their father, but they'll learn the value of work, loyalty, and building something real. They'll understand that actions have consequences." Tears streamed down Veronica's face as the full weight of her choices crashed upon her. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I know," Adrian said softly. "That's why you get the house and the trust fund. Oliver gets prison, and your parents get nothing." He returned to his window, dismissing her presence. The car waiting outside will take you to the airport. Your flight leaves in 3 hours. Veronica clutched the folder to her chest, years of social conditioning warring with her new reality. Our child will have everything they need, nothing they haven't earned. Adrian continued, his tone unyielding. The trust opens on their 18th birthday, provided they maintain good grades and work part-time jobs. They'll understand the value of what they have because they earned it, just as I did. And us. There is no us, Veronica. There never was. You were nothing more than a stepping stone, a path to power. I saw it clearly. As the intercom chimed announcing that her car had arrived, Veronica hesitated. You really are ruthless, aren't you? The man from Dockside who became a king. No, Adrian corrected her firmly. I'm a man who believes in consequences. Your parents played games with people's lives. You and Oliver stole and manipulated. I simply ensured you all reaped what you sowed. A month later, Adrian stood in his expanded office, now occupying the entire top floor of Stone Tower. The former Kingsley mansion had been converted into a community center, its grand ballrooms now hosting job training programs and adult education classes. Grant and Associates had been absorbed into Stone Capital's legal department, their client list cleaned up and reputation re-evaluated under new management. Celeste entered with the final status report. Eleanor Kingsley has moved in with distant relatives in Midland, trading charity galas for bridge club meetings. Howard is responding well to treatment, his delusions of grandeur replaced by psychiatric reality. Oliver Grant has accepted a plea deal, facing 15 years instead of 30. And Veronica is settling into her new life in Evergreen, attending parenting classes, and for the first time, working a regular job. The trust fund provides enough for comfort, not luxury. Sources say she is adapting, slowly learning to live without the social games that once defined her existence. Adrian's gaze shifted to a framed photo on his wall. Himself at 18, working construction, covered in dirt yet smiling. The photo represented everything the Kingsleys had mocked, everything Veronica had tried to help him forget, and everything he had proven was stronger than their world of social climbing and manipulation. They thought I was destroying everything, he murmured, turning to plans for Stone Capital's latest venture, a scholarship program for working-class kids with dreams bigger than their circumstances. But sometimes you need to burn things down to build something better. A notification lit up his phone, an email from Veronica about upcoming prenatal appointments. He responded with his lawyer copied, maintaining the professional distance that would define their relationship moving forward. His revenge was complete, but his true legacy was just beginning. In the end, Adrian Stone hadn't just won their game. He'd changed the rules entirely. The price of betrayal had been paid in full, yet the cost of redemption would be calculated in the opportunities he created, the lives he changed, and the legacy he built for a child who would understand both privilege and responsibility. Years later, in a sunlit penthouse office at Stone Tower, 9-year-old Michael Stone stood with his school blazer perfectly pressed, his posture reflecting years of careful guidance. The boy's features mirrored his father's determination, though his eyes shone with his mother's intelligence. He studied a scale model of East Harbor's newest development project, the Stone Innovation District. "Tell me what you see," Adrian asked his son, watching Michael analyze the model with the same meticulous attention he once gave to construction blueprints. "Mixed-income housing here, tech incubator spaces there, training centers, and the new Stone Foundation headquarters." Michael replied thoughtfully, "It's different from the luxury developments other companies are building, because real value isn't in marble lotties." Adrian nodded, pride warming his usually stern expression. The boy had inherited more than just his features. He had absorbed the principles that had guided Stone Capital's transformation from a hedge fund into a force for change in Newport. The intercom chimed. "Mr. Stone, Miss Blackwood is here with the quarterly reports." Celeste Blackwood, now Stone Capital's Chief of Strategic Operations, entered, A decade of overseeing Adrian's vision had transformed her from a private investigator into one of Newport's most respected corporate executives. "The numbers from Evergreen have arrived," she reported, setting down her tablet. "Veronica's educational therapy practice is doing well. Her work with dyslexic children is gaining recognition." Michael's eyes brightened at the mention of his mother. Although Veronica saw him regularly under carefully scheduled visits, the boundaries Adrian had established remained firm. Veronica had rebuilt her life within the trust fund's conditions, finding purpose in helping struggling children overcome their learning challenges. "What about the practice expansion?" Adrian inquired. "The board reviewed it. The trust will provide matching funds for any capital she raises independently," Celeste replied, pulling up the details. "She's already secured private backing for 60%. Adrian's expression remained neutral, though approval flickered in his eyes. Veronica had learned the value of earning her way by building something real. Their relationship remained strictly professional, focused solely on Michael's well-being, but she had proven capable of growth. "And what about the Kainsleys?" Adrian asked, though he already knew the answer. Surveillance on all potential threats to his son's future remained in place. Eleanor died last month in Midland, a small funeral, local affairs only. And Howard remains in assisted living, his doctors reporting that his delusions about social status have finally subsided. Veronica's sister is doing well with her bookstore in Vermont, completely removed from the old lifestyle. As for Oliver, he's serving 5 more years, teaching basic business classes to other inmates. He's even become a case study in ethical failure at Stone Foundation ethics seminars. Michael listened intently as his father never hid the truth about the past, the story of betrayal and consequences that had shaped his life. "Your mother's waiting downstairs," Adrian reminded him. "Don't forget your report card." Michael retrieved an envelope from his backpack, his report card with a special commendation for volunteer work at the community center. He had earned his quarterly trust fund deposit, part of Adrian's careful system of teaching value and responsibility. Later, Celeste pulled up detailed reports on the Stone Foundation's impact metrics. The scholarship program has sent 312 East Harbor kids to college, and our job training initiatives show a 90% employment rate, she reported. In the old guard, transitions were complete. The families that once scorned new money now courted Stone Capital's favor, but only through legitimate business proposals and community initiatives, not through social climbing. Adrian moved to his window. The view had changed over the decade. Stone Capital's influence had reshaped Newport's skyline and its social structure. The power games that once defined the city's elite had been replaced by a new paradigm, one built on measurable value and social impact. A notification lit up his phone, a school photo of Michael, sent by Veronica with a brief update about his recent academic achievements. Their communication remained focused and professional, a testament to how completely the past had been sealed away. A 10-year audit of the Stone Trust was complete. All conditions maintained, all benchmarks met, and Veronica's compliance has been total, Celeste confirmed. Adrian nodded. Veronica had understood the choice he had given her a decade ago, to adapt and build something real, or lose everything. That afternoon, as Adrian's appearance bore touches of gray at his temples and lines of authority rather than age, the new board members awaited in the conference room. "They're eager to discuss the Innovation District funding. Make them wait another 10 minutes, he instructed with a quiet command. He reviewed photos on his desk, images of Michael's progression from infancy to a conscientious young man, a careful balance of privilege and responsibility. Later that evening, Adrian visited the Stone Community Center. The former Kingsley Mansion transformed into a hub of opportunity. The grand ballroom, where he had once endured Howard's condescension, now hosted coding classes for neighborhood kids. Former social spaces had become career counseling offices. Theresa Martinez, the center's director and a native of Dockside, greeted him with a tablet full of success metrics. "The new robotics program is at capacity. The coding kids have doubled enrollment," she announced. Use the East Wing space, Adrian decided firmly, walking the halls and noting photos of program graduates. Kids from his old neighborhood wearing caps and gowns, holding technical certificates, standing proudly in front of their new businesses. This is real power, not the ability to destroy, but the choice to build. His phone buzzed. A message from Michael. Mom says thank you for approving the practice expansion. The coding kids are excited to show you their projects tomorrow. The simple text revealed volumes about Michael's emotional intelligence and Veronica's growth. Back in his office, Adrian reviewed the latest draft of his legacy document. Instructions from Michael on carrying forward the Stone vision. The boy would inherit wealth and influence, but more importantly, he would inherit purpose. Celeste then brought in the final files. The integration of Grant and Associates into Stone Capital's legal arm was complete. The firm that had once harbored Oliver's crimes now served as Stone Capital's beacon of ethical practice. The last of the Kingsley assets, the main property sold last week, was now fully funded for care, with the remainder transferred to the Foundation Scholarship Fund. Celeste paused. It's done. The old world is gone, Adrian replied with quiet satisfaction. His revenge had evolved into something greater, a complete reconstruction of Newport's power structure. The social climbing, manipulation, and carefully orchestrated marriages that had defined the Kingsley era were replaced by measurable impact and earned success. A notification reminded him of tomorrow's schedule: breakfast with Michael, quarterly board meetings, and a visit to East Harbor High School to meet with scholarship candidates. Michael would accompany him, learning how true leaders balance power with responsibility. The day ended as it always did, with Adrian reviewing reports, planning moves, and ensuring the empire he had built remained true to its foundations. A photo of him at 18, covered in construction dust, yet beaming with pride, still hung on his wall next to Michael's first pay stub from his weekend job at the community center, a proof that the next generation would understand the value of hard work. Veronica's latest email detailed Michael's summer plans: coding camp, volunteer work, and scheduled time with both parents. She would learn to navigate their complex situation with grace, focusing on Michael's development rather than past grievances. The Kingsley legacy now existed only as cautionary whispers among Newport's elite. In his lucid moments, Howard, from his assisted living facility, watched news of Stone Capital's success. Eleanor had passed away believing her family's fall was a terrible mistake rather than the consequence of their own actions. Veronica's sister, the only Kingsley to truly break free, found contentment in a small Vermont bookstore, teaching her children the value of honest work. Oliver's prison sentence had become a Harvard Business School case study in white-collar crime and its consequences. As night settled over Newport, Adrian Stone stood in his office, surveying the city he had reshaped. The Stone Innovation District would soon rise, a testament to the transformation of his hometown. Michael would watch it be built, learning that true power wasn't inherited or married into, it was created through vision and determination. A final text from Michael arrived. Finished my shift at the center. Theresa says the coding kids want to show you their projects tomorrow. Adrian smiled slightly. His son was learning the most important lesson: that true legacy wasn't in buildings bearing a name, but in the lives changed along the way. The Stone Empire would endure, not through force or fear, but through the positive impact it created. The revenge that had driven him a decade ago had transformed into something far more powerful, a complete redefinition of success and influence. The social games that once consumed Newport's elite were replaced by a new standard, one that measured worth through impact rather than appearance. Michael would inherit this new world, understanding both its opportunities and obligations. The trust fund conditions that had once shaped his childhood would evolve into self-imposed standards of excellence and responsibility. Veronica's transformation, from a social climber to a dedicated therapist, proved that change was possible for those willing to pay its price. In the final hours of the day, as Adrian stood in his office reviewing reports and planning his next moves, a framed photo of himself at 18, covered in construction dust, yet smiling proudly, reminded him of where he had come from. Next to it hung Michael's first pay stub from his weekend job at the community center, proof that the next generation would understand the true cost and value of hard work. Veronica's email detailed Michael's summer plans: coding camp, volunteer work, and scheduled time with both parents. She would learn to navigate their complex situation with grace, focusing on Michael's development rather than past grievances. The Kingsley legacy had faded into obscurity, replaced by a new era of measurable impact and genuine change. As night fell over Newport, Adrian Stone allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The game of social climbing and manipulation that had nearly destroyed him had been transformed into a force for real, lasting change. The price of betrayal had been paid in full, and the cost of redemption had been calculated. And in the end, true victory wasn't in destroying the old world, but in building something better from its ruins.